Can you see the slide now?
Boleh, sir.
Boleh.
Okay, I would appreciate if some of you can actually switch on your camera so that I don't feel like, okay, I don't feel that I'm talking to the screen. All right, so we're going to kick off the course with the first chapter, Introduction to Business Research. All right, so like I mentioned to you in the previous class when we meet last week, so you need to prepare the research proposal. Okay, and have I already shared with you the skeleton? I think done. Is it? Dah ke belum eh? Oh, belum lagi eh? Belum lagi. Sekejap eh. Sebelum saya terlupa, let me share with you. Ini lima apa eh? 5A eh?
5A.
5A dan 5
5D, doktor.
tengok masih ada lagi tak file tu. Oh, I think I cannot open the attachment right now. Nanti saya akan hantarkan slide-slide semua. Okay, did you get the message?
Yes, sir.
Dapat eh? Alah. Okay, the second one that I sent to you is the one that is supposed to be completed. Sekejap eh. No. Ya, saya betulkan dulu 3 plus April. Okay, this is what I want you to do this week. Okay, if you can look into your WhatsApp in your conversation. Okay, so this work is due on the 13th of April. 13th of April 2026. So I'll be looking forward to receive all these proposal drafts, okay, for stage one academic research proposal. All right, so you need to actually have all the items. So you need to come up with the topic of your research, introduction to the phenomenon, issue, or problem. Okay, and then problem statement, your research question, your research objective, research framework, outlining all the variables involving your study, as well as the references. Okay, so for the next class, we're going to go through all these, and hopefully by 13th of April, you should be able to actually complete this simple draft. So not too much, about 4 to 5 pages only, but at least you know what topic that you are going to do. Okay, so I'm going to kick off with the lecture. So the first one will be the introduction to business research. This is our chapter 1. So in this chapter, we're going to actually look into the different types of research that is available, the different approach in research as well. But do remember that for this semester, okay, we will be focusing more on one side of the research, that I will highlight to you later on. So hopefully at the end of the day, you'll be able to describe what research is and how it is defined, distinguish between applied and basic research, and then explain why managers should know about research and identify the distinction between the good research and research that falls short of a professional quality, and then identify the way to generate the research idea. Okay, so this is the content for the chapter 1. So we're going to look into why people conduct research, okay, types of business research, quantitative versus qualitative research, scientific research, and then advantage of scientific approach. And of course, a little bit on the characteristic of a good research, and 20 ways of generating ideas from previous research and development of theories. Okay, I will not be touching much on the theory because at this level, I don't think that it is appropriate for me to actually discuss with you on the usage of theory in research. But later, okay, if you are interested maybe to pursue your study doing your master's or your PhD, and then you might need a little bit to give more focus on the learning the theories. All right, so basically what is research? So people are talking about research. You have heard about research before. You have heard about people doing research, okay, here and there about research. So I think more or less you know that research is about doing something to understand something. Yeah. So what is actually a research? So research is actually an objective and systematic scientific inquiry. It means that there is a sense of direction in research. So as a researcher, you have to actually come up with the topic. Why do you choose that topic? And what importance is that topic to the community? And then it is a systematic scientific inquiry. It means that there is a process, there are steps that you need to follow. So it doesn't simply work just by intuition. No. So in research, basically, when we talk about a research report should contain at least 5 chapters, and 5 chapters. So you have the introduction chapters, you have the literature review chapter, you have the methodology chapter, you have the findings, as well as the conclusion and recommendation chapter. So all in all, basic, generally, research contain 5 different chapters. Okay, so this semester we will not be doing all, but we will be doing the first 3 chapters, which constitute the research proposal. So if you were to ask me, okay, is it similar to all the universities? Depends. It depends. Sometimes the literature is too long, then you might need to break into 2 chapters. Some universities prefer hypothesis to be in 1 chapter. So therefore, all in all, you might have 5 to 6 chapters. But the other chapter remain unchanged, such as conclusion, findings, okay? Those are compulsory chapters. Okay, so therefore, there is a systematic approach to research. What makes research difficult is to actually adhere to this requirement, memenuhi keperluan ni. If you're talking about doing research, it's very simple. But to follow the systematic inquiry is very, very difficult. And sometimes it becomes so rigid. And then research is also a structured inquiry that utilizes acceptable scientific methodology to solve problems and create new knowledge that is generally applicable. So if we were to talk about research, research have several contributions. So other than foster understanding, research also helps the researcher to actually explore new things, explore new knowledge, okay, contribute to the body of knowledge. So therefore, what is happening now is that you have to understand that when we conduct research, okay, basically we are working based on the work of others. When kita bekerja itu di atas hasil kerja orang sebelumnya. So if you were to claim that you are the first one to conduct this research, so that is a bit misleading. Maknanya tak sesuai lah kalau you kata you orang yang pertama yang buat research tu. Unless you are certain and there is a strong justification saying that you are the first one. This is the first research of its kind. So we don't actually encourage students to say that, okay, this study is the first one in Malaysia. Be very careful. Unless you are certain that all the literature has been exhausted, means that you found that through literature that you might be the first one who might be using that kind of variables, or you are the first one who will be testing that variables. Yeah. But other than that, it is very, very critical. Why? Okay. Let me give you some realistic thoughts on this. Yeah. Means that if you were to come up with a topic, you nak keluarkan satu tajuk, definitely you have to read. So therefore, somewhere or somehow along the way, you have learned this. You are aware of this. You know this exists. So how do you know this exists? Because previous people, previous researchers have already looked into this. The only thing that you can claim is that maybe you are the first one who are going to look at the variables in a different way. So at that level only. Okay, because why? Because you cannot actually reach out for a topic if you don't know anything. And most of the researcher or most of the students, they will conduct research in the area of interest. Maknanya dia akan buat research itu berdasarkan minat dia. And of course, talking about his or her experience, talking about his or her knowledge, means that he or her has already learned about it and know that, okay, these will be the variables that I'm going to test. Yeah. But all in all, when we talk about research, means that we are doing something, we are searching something, but in a very systematic scientific inquiry. So therefore, it involves scientific methodology, it involves several steps, it involves several requirements. Okay, on that note, when we talk about business research, what is a business research? So business research means the systematic and energetic process of gathering, recording, and analyzing data for aid in making the business decision. Or it's a systematic inquiry that provides information to guide business decision. So if we were to compare, okay, regardless whether it is a business research or research, at the end of the day, the research will help to foster a deeper understanding. And also at the same time, the research will also guide the researcher in making decision. Yeah, in making decision. So therefore, we come to the state, okay, why people conduct research. Okay, I always told this to the student. You know who is the best researcher in the world? Siapakah penyelidik terbaik di dunia? Okay, siapa agak-agak you? Penyelidik terbaik di dunia. Who is the best researcher in the world? Okay, if I were to answer that, you might be shocked. Because why? Okay, asking this question and providing the answer to this question, if you were to ask me, Doktor, siapakah penyelidik terbaik di dunia? Who is the best researcher? The best researcher in the world is your mother. Mak, a mother knows best. Mother know anak dia suka makan apa. Mother know anak dia punya perasaan macam mana. Okay, she can feel the mood. She can understand you. She can anticipate. Why? Because she has been dealing with you from the day one since you were born. So basically, okay, your mother knows everything about you. He know what you like. He know what you don't like. He knows your behavior. She knows your preferences. The only difference between a mother and a researcher is that your mom did not write. Kan, mak ni dia tak menulis, itu je. Tapi kalau dia menulis, ya, so maybe she can produce 5, 6, 7 or maybe 10 books, 100 books. Kan? Sebab tu kalau you tengok mak-mak memasak, dia tak ada uh, apa garam satu sudu teh, gula satu sudu besar, tak ada. Dia campak je. Because they based on intuition, they based on experience, they based on what they have actually encountered before. Yeah, so the experience speaks. So why does people conduct research in a very formal or a very unique setting? So the first one is to seek the truth. You just want to know what is happening. For example, we are talking about now the situation between the US, Israel versus Iran. We just heard it, we just read it, but we never actually experienced it. So we don't really know what is happening. Okay? Or maybe you want to talk about what? About the economic situation. We are talking about what? About oil price increase. Yeah? So you might want to learn, you might to seek the truth. What is happening behind the scene actually? All right. So that is why people conduct research in order to actually look for the truth. The second one is to discover new knowledge. Okay. Just think a second. Yeah. Just think a second. 10 years back, okay, 10 years back, there is no term such as work from home. But then COVID came in 2020. So COVID altered the mindset. COVID altered everything. And it is possible that people can actually work from home, even though they might not be as efficient and effective as the normal conventional working ways, but still work can be done. Tasks can be completed. Yeah, things can be delivered. All right. So therefore, you conduct research in order to seek new knowledge, how to do things best. So we are talking now about what? We are talking about AI. Yeah, there are so many discussion out there. Okay, talking about the usage of AI, the manipulation of AI, the abuse content of AI. Yeah, but whether we like it or not, that is the in thing now. We are living in that era now. Okay, as for me, we come from maybe 5 decades back. Okay, those things never come into our mind. So we don't know how important it is to you. But of course, since for those who are actually born within this era, this industrial revolution, okay, so you are more attached to it. Yeah. And the third one is to describe, to explain, to predict. So you want to describe why people behave in such a way. You want to describe why people react, okay, to something. So you conduct research in order for you to be able to actually describe, explain, and predict what is going to happen. And the fourth one is to provide solution to a problem. Luckily for you, you don't have to actually come to this level. Means that you don't need to actually provide solution to a problem. But if you were to ask me, okay, when do we come to this level of research? Normally is being done by the master student, especially the MBA student. So they conduct what we call an applied research. Yeah, that research itself try to actually come up with a solution to a problem. Yeah, you can ask some of your brother and sister who have taken MBA, okay, how they work around this applied research. And the last one, of course, like I said previously, okay, research helps you to make decision. Yeah, helps you to make decision. Atau kalau bahasa biasa kita, we call it, okay, before you do something, please do your homework. So that kind of quotation kan. Okay, orang kata, you nak buat A, and then mak you cakap, please make sure kau belajar dulu, faham dulu. Yeah. So in order for you to make a sound decision, you need to understand the phenomenon. You need to understand the issue. You need to understand what are you facing now. All right. So that you can actually derive or devise, okay, the best recommendation, the best solution to that particular issue or problem. So these are the 5 general reasons why people conduct research. So other than that, yes, it's means of exploring, observing, try to actually experience. So that is also part of research. But in general, these are the 5 main things that actually push or actually drive a person to conduct research. Okay, let us go into the types of research. Some of you might disagree with me, but please hear me first, yeah? Okay, so there are so many discussions in this world right now. We are talking about different types of research that has been, I don't know whether it is acceptable or not, but as far as what I know through my reading, through my exposure, okay, there are only 2 types of research basically. So we have the basic research, and we also have the other one, which is called the applied research. The major differences between the two is that, okay, so for basic, or also known as pure research, so this research is intended to expand the boundaries of knowledge itself, mean that you want to expand your understanding, yeah, conducted to verify the acceptability of a given theory. Means that, okay, to understand something and actually to verify whether that really happens or not. So this is the most famous kind of research that is being conducted in the academic environment, in dalam dunia academic. The other one, we call it applied research. The word speaks for itself, means that you apply, yeah, you apply your research. The research which are undertaken to answer a question about a specific problem or to make decision about a particular course of action or policy. Yeah. So when we talk about these 2 different types of research, we are talking about basic or applied research. Basic research does not actually end with a solution, does not normally end with a decision. It's just merely to understand and to expand or extend the body of knowledge. Maksudnya menambahkan pengetahuan. Compared to the applied research, where applied research normally ends with a strategy. Applied research normally ends with a recommendation. Applied research ends with a decision. Yeah, so it's an applied. So that is why it's called an applied research. Okay, systematic inquiry that later on be applied in the normal environment or the current setting. Okay, so there are 2 types of research. Please remember that. Either it's basic or applied. Other than that, I don't know, because I think most of the research gurus does not actually have other kind of argument on this. Normally all accept that there are only 2 types of research, either basic pure research or it's an applied research. So these are the differences. So if you look at the basic research, in terms of contribution, so the basic research are normally used to provide basic theoretical knowledge. Means that you try to understand the scenarios, you try to understand the phenomena. All right. As for applied research, okay, you actually contribute to the practical application of the result. Your result will help the company, will help that organization, will help that individual, okay, to overcome certain problem or issues. And as for the problem area, so the selection of the problem is within the researcher prerogative. Means that whatever known to the researcher. Whereas for applied research, okay, the problem is within the demand of the employers, meaning that the demand from the organization. So you have to seek for real problem, real time issue within certain organization. Okay, and if you look at the purpose, for basic research, normally the objective is to deliver information and knowledge, whereas for the applied research, the objective is to improve or to solve the current issue or problem, okay, in an organization or a country. Okay, now we come to the heavily disputed methods of research. So there are basically two general methods of research. Either it's a quantitative or it's a qualitative. But lately, for the last maybe a decade or 2 decades, people have been talking about what is called a mixed method. But if you look into all the research books, if you refer to Sakaran, Zygmunt, even Hare itself, Tabachnik and Fidel, okay, and then you have Schindler, you have all the other books, okay, Salkin. So all these books only highlight two different approach in research. Either it's quantitative or it's qualitative. But okay, but for the last decade, yeah, a decade, okay, 10 years back, so Creswell has come up with what is called a mixed method. I think the first term coined in research, okay, regarding this mixed method was by Creswell, where they combine both quantitative and qualitative. But most of the gurus in research believe that there is only two, and they agree that this is the only two. Okay, the way it's being integrated, okay, cannot be considered as a mixed method. It's merely you are doing two methods at the same time. So that is the translation or definition most of the gurus in research. But that is not important, okay, because you need to understand. So this semester will be focusing more on quantitative research, okay, rather than qualitative. But at the end of the semester, I will try to actually explain, okay, some of the basic information on qualitative research as well. So what is the difference between the quali and the quanti, or the quanti against the quali? For the quantitatives, yeah, be careful, yeah, because it sounds almost similar, quantitative and qualitative. Yeah. So for the quantitative research, it is a positivist form of inquiry. So the positivist is the paradigm of the researcher. Yeah. So in the research world, it's just like Hogwarts School of Magic. Okay, di mana you are the Slytherin, you are the Gryffindor, yeah. Because we have different orientation. Everyone have different orientation. Kalau you orang yang sukakan nombor, mungkin you lebih kepada kuantitatif. Tapi kalau you lebih suka kepada argument, ya mungkin you lebih sukakan kualitatif. Ya, sedar tak sedar, that is how we are built. Means that there are some people who are very prone to numbers, very, very comfortable with numbers, and there are some people who is not really prone to numbers. And also there is a middle group, okay, which seems to have both capability but at the minimum. Ya, dia suka nombor tetapi minimum saja. Dia suka argument juga minimum saja. So it's a positivist form of inquiry that is concerned with the search of facts using objective measurement and statistical analysis of numeric data. So the keyword here, using objective measurement and statistical analysis of numeric data to understand and explain phenomena and to guide practice and policy. Means that in quantitative research, okay, this section of research focus merely on the application of statistical tests, okay, on numerical data in order to provide answer or recommendation. Yeah. Whereas for the qualitative research, it's a process that is concerned with the production of meaning, yeah, instead of relying, yeah, solely, yeah, okay, instead of relying solely on hard facts and figure, reliability tests and selective sampling of setting and people, qualitative research take into account, okay, points of view or the inner life, intended or unintended consequences, idiosyncrasies, and the like. Means that it is more argumentative in nature. Yeah. So that is the difference between the two. Oh, hari ini ada PC. Alright. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, ingat ya. If people ask you how many types of research? Two. Basic research, applied research. How many approach in research? Two. Quantitative, qualitative. Ya, senang kan? Takkan tu tak ingat ya. So, basic versus applied, quanti versus quali. Yeah. So if you look at the table there, okay, the differences between qualitative research and qualitative research is, okay, the purpose. If you look at the purpose for quantitative, it's more towards the study of relationship, cause and effect. And for qualitative, it's more towards understanding the social phenomenon. Yeah. And if you look at the tools, okay, use standardized instrument for quantitative, but for qualitative, use face-to-face interaction. And as for the analysis, statistical analysis of numerical data in quantitative, but narrative description and interpretation is for the qualitative. Okay, the scientific research. Okay, so these are the characteristics of scientific research. So the first one, it is purposive. Means that there is a sense of direction. Kajian tu ada arah tala tujunya. Kajian tu ada kebarangkaliannya, ada focal pointnya. Ya, bukan just main buat je kajian. Okay, and then the second one is rigor. Rigor means it's tidy, it's neat. It means that you have to follow all the steps. You have to fulfill all the requirements. You have certain protocols to be met. You need to fulfill some of the assumptions for this statistical analysis. So it's rigor, maknanya rapi. Yeah? And third one is testability, means that it can be tested. So whatever that you do, please consider this. Yeah, if you feel that later on that it is not appropriate or you don't see the rationale, please review and revise. Yeah, kalau you dah baca tu rasa macam salah aja aku buat ni. So stop. Take a time, review, okay, revise, and then resume. Yeah. Jangan pula you dah rasa salah, buat juga. At the end of the day, it's not testable. Yeah. And then replicable means that, okay, if people say that research cannot be copied, no, they can be copied. So a good scientific research should be replicable. It will allow people to undertake whatever that is lacking in the previous research. Kan, ada orang kata, oh tak boleh lah nanti topik kita sama. No, don't worry about that. That's not the issue. Okay, maybe you think that people will hijack your idea. Come on, guys. As you go along thinking of the topic, there are thousands and thousands of other people who are also thinking about the same topic. Because why? Because normally we are on the same brink of knowledge. Ya, maknanya kita di dalam ilmu pengetahuan atau bidang yang sama. Definitely we come across the same thing. Yeah, and like I said, research is always replicable. It means that everyone or everybody can actually undertake whatever that is being left by the previous researcher. Number 5, it must be precise and you have to ensure the confidence. Yeah. So this one I'll discuss with you later during the data analysis to show you, okay, on how to be precise and confident and how to reflect certain measurement or instrument that is going to be used in your research. And then objectivity, you must be clear of what you want to do and what you want to achieve and how you want to achieve that. Yeah, so there must be clear objective of your action. And number 7 is generalization. So this is a very complicated actually to be explained in a layman term. Except that like this, just put it like this. We want our research to be acceptable and at the same time be able to explain others. Kita nak research kita itu, okay, diterima dan juga boleh mewakili orang lain dalam environment yang sama. Ya, contohnya, you are doing research on teacher in Malaysia. So hopefully, the findings of on the teachers in Malaysia can be used to represent teachers in Indonesia, teachers in Thailand, teachers in other part of the world. So that is what we meant by generalization. But I will go back to this concept later on. So it is quite difficult actually to teach Mgt651 online because there are so many things that happen behind the scene. I did mention to you last week. Okay, no matter how many times you have taken research class, always it will not be enough unless you are the one who actually conduct that research. So in terms of generalization, I will visit again with you during the sampling chapter because it has something to do with the representation of the population. And the last one, number 8, is parsimony. Means that you write something or you actually come up with something, a report that will help to foster understanding, but at the same time, it was written as though you are the one learning and trying to share the information. Ya, seolah-olah you pun tak mengetahuinya, dia melalui dapatan-dapatan you kongsikan, okay, and hopefully those who read your work should be able to actually uh, have a better understanding of the phenomenon or the area of study. Clear, yeah? All right. Advantage of a scientific approach. So what are the advantages of using scientific approach? So we have the traditional model of science, we have the theory, we have the operationalization, we have the observation. All right, so these are the traditional model. So either you go using a theory to understand something, or you operationalize or measure something, or you use your observation to interpret things. Okay, but I'm not going to touch on that because we're going to actually, uh, yeah, from week to week as you progress doing your proposal, we'll be learning on that, yeah, indirectly. Okay, in research there are two. One is called, in terms of models, we have two. We have the inductive model and we have the deductive model. The inductive model is more towards qualitative. Ya, dengar ya. The inductive is more towards qualitative, where from one small issue, you try to actually expand it into a very hefty discussion. Ya, satu benda kecil, move to from a particular to a general form of set of observation. Ya, jadi benda kecil jadi besar itu dipanggil induktif ataupun inductive reasoning. Dan untuk deductive model atau deductive reasoning lebih merujuk kepada kuantitatif, iaitu daripada benda yang besar, kita akan fokus kepada satu benda yang kecil sahaja. So that is called a deductive reasoning or deductive model. So this one, okay, don't crack your head, just understand dari kecil menjadi besar itu induktif, dari besar menjadi kecil itu deduktif. So untuk induktif kualitatif, untuk induktif kualitatif, untuk deduktif kuantitatif. So this is the relationship. I don't want to touch on that. Okay. So let us go on the characteristic of a good research, regardless whether it's a research report or research proposal. So what are we looking at in terms of determining whether it is a good research? So basically, a good research is a purpose clearly defined. Yeah. So the research problem, the research question, and objective should be clearly stated without any ambiguity. So in order for you or to enable you to do that, you need to read. You need to understand the area of your study. And of course, you will need to actually have a good understanding of the whole area as well. Yeah. So a researcher has to draw a clear understanding between symptom of an organizational problem, the manager perception of the problem, and the research problem. Yeah. So you kena faham antara problem dan symptom. Number two, the research process is detailed, lengkap, rapi, tersusun. So the research process and procedures used should be described in sufficient detail. Itu saya kata tadi, the difference between mak kita dengan penyelidik ni, mak kita tak menulis je. Cuba mak kita menulis. Banyak ceritanya. Tapi mak kita tidak menulis. Itu je. Researcher, dia menulis. So everything that you do from now until your submission, you need to write. You need to write your activities. You need to write how many journals have you read, how many articles have you gone through, how many reference have you made, what is the progress, okay, from time to time. You have to take note. Okay, so the research process is being detailed. Number three is a well-planned research, means that you have the timing, you have the progress report, you have the progress, stage progress. So the researcher should be knowledgeable in research methodology, which include aspects such as sampling procedures, data collection, measurement of variables, or instrumentation and analysis of data. So a researcher must have all these skills. The researcher must be well-versed. So inshallah, yeah, I'll try my best to actually help you to understand this requirement. Okay, because at the end of the day, if you were to pursue for your postgraduate studies, you need all this skill. Yeah, you need to have all this ability. Okay, and then for limitation of research. So the researcher should report all limitation of research in terms of research design, procedures, estimate their effect on the findings and the conclusion. Yeah, so you have to know your limitations. So a competent researcher should be sensitive to the effect of imperfect design, and his or her experience in analyzing the data should provide the basis for estimating their influence. And then, of course, a bit to the ethical issues. Yeah, so there are lots of issues with regards to ethics in research. That is why we don't actually encourage students to disembark, on data collection, because we don't want you to overlook this ethics requirement. So ethical issues in research reflect the researcher ability to be very transparent on the limitation of the researcher and the accuracy of data handling. So there should be no manipulation of data. Yang ini saya akan discuss ya. From time to time, I'll share with you my experience. Ya, ada yang manipulate data, ada yang tipu itu, tipu ini dan sebagainya. Okay, and warranted researcher is experienced, has a good reputation in research, and is a person of integrity. So it is very, very important in research. We don't want you to breach any ethical code of conduct. Okay. Any question?
No, sir. No, sir.
Right. So saya nak bagi briefly only on this one. Okay, 20 ways of generating research ideas from previous research. So hopefully by now you have some idea of what you want to do. Yeah, this is very important so that you can work fast. So nanti, if it happens that you cannot find a topic for your research, so you might need to consider this. Yeah. So benda macam ni je. Okay, for me, you should do something that is close to your heart. Yes. Tapi I give you some advice last week. Okay. Mungkin you should look into something that is the in thing now. We are talking apa benda yang orang tengok sekarang ni. Okay, like AI, office automation, machine replacing human kan. So we are talking about this. We are talking about smart itu, smart ini dan segalanya lah. We are talking about smart payment, cashless society, knowledge society, or whatever it is. But do remember, it might take a big chunk of your happiness in research because you need to read. So you kena baca banyak. So that is why most, when we talk about choosing a topic for research, normally a researcher will choose only topic which is known to him or her. Ya, maknanya di dalam bidang pengetahuan dia. Kalau dalam contohnya pelajar tu dia akan tengok balik, dia akan reflect balik apa yang dia dah belajar. Okay, what subjects yang dia dah ambil. Okay, which one yang dia tahu. So dia akan lebih kepada cenderung. But in case you find it hard, so you might want to use some of these. Okay, especially the first one, repeat studies or replication. Repeat studies or replication ni, kata dalam bahasa biasanya adalah macam meniru lah. Tapi bukan meniru secara tak profesional. Kita meniru tetapi kita mengambil frameworknya sahaja, bukan kontennya. Ya, frameworknya sahaja. So it is allowed, untuk undergrad it is allowed to actually replicate any studies that you find interesting and you want to do it. Ya, tu saya kata, to assist you, for example, you doing AI, mungkin kali pertama you tak tahu, so you just go and find a seminal paper, journal yang sesuai, and then you replicate saja apa you want to buat. Yeah. And then there are other methods as well, so many methods actually. Okay, but the core ataupun the keyword here is reading. You must read. For research to work, you must read. You need to read as much as possible within a very short period of time. Saya faham you ada 1,001 alasan, you ada 1,001 masalah, you ada 1,001 keengganan, ya. But that is how research work, whether you like it or not. Saya dulu pun tak suka juga. Tapi bila saya go for my master's and PhD, then I understand this is something that you need to do. It's a regime that walaupun bunyinya kejam tetapi mesti dibuat. Or else you will not be able to write a good proposal. You will not be able to have that length of words that is required for your report, dissertation or thesis. Okay, teori saya tak nak sentuh lah. Nanti confused. Okay. So any questions so far? Okay, can you, for those who can open your camera, please switch on your camera. Okay, I would like to discuss with you with regards to the content that I already sent you. Okay, yeah. Okay, can you look at the WhatsApp? Okay, the first one that I sent to you is the skeleton. The second one that I shared to you is something that you can ponder. Okay, so this is something that you need to do this week. And by Monday, I want to see them. Yeah, I want to see them. Okay, so for 651 academic research proposal, stage 1, yeah, proposed topic and research framework. Okay, so this is due on 13th of April. So in your groups, I still yet to receive the group names and the list of the groups. But hopefully I'll be, no, okay, group dah dapat. Tajuk je belum. Okay, group 1, Ifah and the gang. Group 2, Afrina and the gang. Bukan. Ini 5 apa ni? 5A, aduh, ya Allah. Betul lah, 5A. 5A dah dapat dah list of groups. Okay, sekejap and then ni 5D. 5D yang belum dapat lagi. Siapa kelas rap 5D?
Saya.
Okay, so I want the list of the group with the group members and the topic. So try to do that secepat yang boleh lah. Okay, So on that note, let us look at the stage one. So students are required to form a group of between 2 to 4, maybe 2 to 5 lah, yeah. Given a week, the group will be required to submit a draft proposal outlining the followings. Number one, okay, I need to see the topic of your research, which is the area of study. So if you say you're doing something on customer satisfaction, you're doing something on workplace environment, if you're doing something on um, innovation capability, or doing something on artificial intelligence, so I want to see that topic, and what area of study that you are doing. And then a little bit of introduction to the phenomenon. Kalau you kata you buat AI, so you're talking about what? What of the aspect of the AI that you are actually looking at? Yeah. So you have to write that. And then, okay, from the introduction of the phenomenon, I want you to highlight what will be the issue or problem that you want to solve. Okay, apakah permasalahannya? Apakah isunya? Okay, so addressing the focus of your study. So at the end of the research, what do you want to achieve? You want to answer what? You want to test what? You want to examine what relationship? So that one need to be there. And then for the research question and research objective, okay, you can have, okay, your own research question. You nak jawab apa dalam kajian you, and then caranya you nak menyelesaikan apa tindakan you. Okay, so that will be the RQ and RO. Okay, just be reminded, yeah, just be reminded. I don't expect more than 3 research questions. You have to understand the implication. The more research question you put in, the more tasks that you need to complete, the more things you need to write in. Yeah, so do be very careful. Even saya buat PhD pun 2 jadi research questionnya. Tiba-tiba kau nak buat sampai 4-5 research question. Ya, ni proposal je. So just at least 2, maximum is 3. Okay, and then a little bit of the research framework. Okay, if you don't know how to construct the research framework, it's okay. But I believe as you go along reading the journal, so that is why it is very important you dapatkan tajuk, start membaca, kumpulkan, ya, atau replicatekan framework. Contoh you baca daripada Ahmad 2024. Oh, you kata okay, you nak buat kajian macam Ahmad. So you ambil lah framework dia. Ya, bukan ambil content dia, ambil framework dia. Okay, so you replicate Ahmad's framework. Alright? Faham jangan pula, oh doktor kata boleh tiru, dah bulat kau ambil dia. Kan, baru kau submit journal dia je, dik. Senang cerita. Kan, no, you can replicate but the framework, not the content. Kan berbuih-buih mulut pakcik cakap, salah juga, ya Allah. Okay, so once you have finalized that, and then I want to see everything, and then of course the reference. So I expect this week, dengar ya, this week I expect you to read at least 10 ni. Dan 10 journals tu, 10 articles tu bukan yang macam okay, Amirul Hakim 2, Farihah 2, Faris 2, tak. 10 jurnal tu dibaca oleh semua orang dalam kumpulan ni. Yeah. Because there are so many cases actually that happen in the class. Kan, disebabkan dia bahagi-bahagikan, okay, Sarah you baca 2, Syazira you baca 2, tiba-tiba hari presentation kita tanya, saya tak tahu tu bahagian Sarah. Kan, lepas tu mulalah lawan membalas dendam waktu presentation. Kan, tiba-tiba Syazira pula sangkut, itu bahagian kau pandai-pandai lah jawab. Kan, dah jadi jam. So I want you to download at least 10, if possible 15. And then everyone read all the journals. Semua baca. Then you can write better. Yeah? Then you can write better. Remember, I remind you last week. you cannot become a transformer. Jangan tunggu tiba-tiba minggu ke-13. Okay, Aina, Auni, Atirah, jom kita combine. No. Nanti kepala dia Atirah, badan dia Auni, ekor dia Aina. Binatang apakah itu sebenarnya? Kan? Susah. Yeah. So everybody must contribute. Everybody must have the same understanding. Everybody is having the same tone. Baru dah cantik. Ya. Kalau tidak, astaghfirullahaladzim. Sampai kat saya tu macam gaduh-gaduh tau, gaduh-gaduh. You tak boleh nak bezakan, dah campur-campur aduk lah. Kan? Dah kata nak makan yang mana dulu, nak makan kangkung dulu ke, nak makan toge dulu ke, nak makan sengkuang dulu ke, tahu dulu, dia dah bercampur aduk. Pelbagai versi. Dan tolong, pakcik ulang sekali lagi ni. Font, tolong standardize. Jangan lagi Alisa hantar Times New Roman 12. Si Cairo Nisa pula hantar Arial 11. Datang pula yang lain, Calibri. Datang pula yang kreatif sikit, Comic Sans. Dah saya pula berbina-bina. Ini bukan novel cinta, dek. Ini research. Ya, research. Dan tolonglah, ya, kalau boleh tu spend masa tu, biarlah alignment tu justify, ya. Jangan hantar kat saya gaji. Tahu gaji kan bila kita tak justify kan macam gaji ujungnya. Tu bagus you hantar je gaji yang dekat rumah tu kat saya. Ini saya baca macam tu je kepala. Please. Alright, so you need to work very fast on this. So I'm leaving you now. Saya tak suka tau kelas online ni. Sebab bila saya leave you now, kau tu masuk tidur balik. Kan? Kau tak boleh percaya korang ni. Kan? Tak mandi tu tak apalah, dimaafkan. Kan? Sebab kelas online kat rumah. Tapi kau pun mengalahkan lecturer. Lecturer tu habis je, kau pun habis juga. Kan? Sampai tiba-tiba sedar, pukul 2 ada kelas lagi lah. Okay, siap. Ambil tudung semua, siap masuk kelas lagi. No, you have to continuously work. Remember, I want to see this work on Monday. Yeah, Monday. So on Monday, sebelum pukul 5 petang, semuanya dah dihantar di WhatsApp group ataupun di WhatsApp group lah, senang, ya. So that I can go through each of your idea and then we can discuss in the tutorial class. Boleh anak-anak semua?
Boleh, doktor.
Yang paling takut dua je, yang angguk dengan yang thumbs up tu. Itu takut. Setiap semester yang tu lah nanti yang sangkutnya. Kan, dia punya tu. Dan kau ingat ni apa? TikTok. Tolong ya, buat kerja. Alright. So I leave you, discuss with your group, and I want to see the outline Monday 5 p.m. Okay. So I wish you all the best. Thank you very much for attending the short class. Please do not forget to verify your attendance at YouFuture. And inshallah, I'll see you tomorrow, kan? Tomorrow. Okay, for our tutorial class. Yeah. Okay, thank you guys. Bye. Assalamualaikum.
Salam. Thank you, doktor.
Thank you, doktor.